This recording is proposed and planned to be the first in a complete cycle of all the Mozart operas. Which we reckon probably at the rate of one CD a year is a 20-year project. Apollo and Hyacinthus is Mozart's very first opera. He wrote it when he was 11. It's in Latin. It was written for children. Generally, the original cast were between the ages of 12 and 23. In some ways, it's astonishing that a composer could write an opera like this at 11. In other ways, it's not at all surprising given who Mozart was and what his life had existed of up until that point. So he was commissioned to write Apollo as part of the university school's annual play. Every year they would put on an enormously long play in Latin, and the idea was that they'd have a musical intermezzo that would break up the acts of the serious play. And the subject matter was taken from Ovid, for the Metamorphoses, and he composed this 70-minute opera. And it's extraordinarily outstanding music. I think what we found in rehearsal, to begin with, the obvious thing you do is think, wow, this is by an 11-year-old. But it was surprising how quickly that just disappeared from our mind. And actually, when you compare it to the operas being written at the same time by Haydn and even Gluck, it does, the quality bears comparison. Mozart was a born dramatist, and even at the age of 11, the way he sets the story and creates characters is palpable and exciting. So for me as a conductor and for our singers, it's already really substantial stuff to get our teeth into. Of course, the other big block for us nowadays is the opera is in Latin. So for the singers, that in itself was another thing that we had to confront and find a way of getting round. And we approached it very much as wanting the Latin to feel like a living language. So I think part of our challenge is to immerse ourselves in the language that Mozart would have understood and expected his performers to understand, but also to give ourselves the enablement and the empowerment to bring ourselves to it.
But at the moment it's a bit dry sounding, so you can hear all the words and things clearly. So don't worry, I'll make it lovelier later. But let's just go. Just drive us. Yeah.
It's great that all the singers in the cast for this recording are people that have worked with classical opera several times in the past, so it does feel very much like a family ensemble. Larry Zazo is singing the role of Apollo, and actually Larry sang the role with us when we did our first production of the piece back in 1998. He at the time was just a year out of college. He takes risks, he believes in drama as the fundament of connection, so no two versions will be the same. He's a very honest performer, and of course outstanding quality of voice and the experience that he has. I mean, he's sung at the Met, he's sung all over the world. Clara Eck is singing the role of Melia, which is really a role that doesn't appear in the original Ovid story. Melia was created for this 18th century version. Fantastic artist, beautiful voice, beautiful control. Technically, it's completely sorted. Very clean sound, but also with depth and roundness and personality. That's how she is. She loves the work, she loves the preparation, and she becomes the character by immersing herself in it over a period of time. Andrew Kennedy is singing the role of Aebolus. Andrew, as with all the cast, Andrew has sung with us numerous times in the past. There's a wonderful combination with Andrew of his very solid technique. You sort of have the impression that he can just keep singing non-stop without ever seemingly getting tired. Very, very robust. Intellectually and musically very connected. Very, very interesting and interested person. So he's always exploring, and that comes across in his performing. Christopher Ainsley is singing the role of Zephyrus, an absolute natural, in particular actually in terms of recording, both with this and with the Artaxerxes that we recorded. He just arrived, stood in front of the microphone, and the first take, it was there. Again, as with all these singers actually, loves exploring, loves challenging, questioning and bringing out the character and thinking beyond the music. Sophie Bevan is singing the role of Hyacinthus. Sophie is an extraordinary singer. Almost like Mozart himself, it feels like she's always been able to do it. You know, there's no sense of a training or a progression. The voice has developed in the time I've known her, but the talent, as pure raw talent, has just always been there. You know, you can give her an obscure Haydn aria, and 3 or 4 days later, she's not only learnt it, memorized it, mastered it technically, but fully possessed it. And I think everything she sings, she brings such a sense of connection.
I mean, there is something about this sort of thing. It's such an extraordinary sort of occasion, actually. You get all these people together, and the level of it is just so extraordinary. And actually be able to just turn the thing on for the overture, and this fantastic orchestra, just, you know, in full flight. It's marvellous. It's a really good start.
We're undertaking this project with Linn Records, who last year, to a lot of people's great delight, they won the Gramophone Award for the Record Label of the Year. And it was the first time one of the small independent labels had received that award. Philip Hobbs, who has produced and edited this recording, does nearly all of Linn Records CDs, so the relationship I have with him is crucial. I did feel that Linn was really going places, and the quality of the recorded sound is consistently praised. Phil Hobbs is a fantastic perfectionist, and will never allow us to get away with anything other than the best we can do. The company exists to perform Mozart opera, and obviously we do other things as well. But the idea of being able to embark on a journey, a long-term journey, that we can share with an audience and build with an audience is the real excitement of it. When Mozart was in his adult years living in Vienna, so in his sort of late 20s, early 30s, a young composer, budding composer, had come up to him and asked for advice, and he went up to him and said, "Herr Mozart, I would like to compose, and I wondered if you could give me advice about writing symphonies, because I really want to write symphonies." And Mozart apparently, so the story goes, replied, "Well, you know, symphonies are actually really quite complicated things, and my advice would be maybe start off with piano sonatas and string quartets, and you just work up, and then once you've done a few of them, then you'll be ready to write a symphony." And this young budding student apparently said, "But Herr Mozart, you were writing symphonies when you were far younger than I am now." And Mozart turned to him and said, "I never asked how."
sempre proteger. O Apollo dignare lui